taking the time to chat.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm super honored to be the first one of these. It's really cool.
Yeah, I know. Awesome. Well, I've been a big fan of your music for a long time now. How did you get started in music and in production and all that?
Ooh, I first sort of discovered music when I was 8 years old, and then like straight away, I think when I was 9, I just had to find ways to record myself. So like as since since I was a little kid, I was already like grabbing my grandma's tape recorder and like recording like songs on there and stuff. So it's like as soon as I found out how to do it, I just had to do it, and I just kind of followed the white rabbit, as they say, until I ended up here, and it's like the thing I do now. But in terms of like production and that, I kind of just along that process around high school, I picked up FL Studio and started producing some beats, and just we got better and better as time went on. Yeah, and just it kind of just like just found myself here, to be honest. I can't even like pinpoint an exact moment really.
That's awesome. So it just like kind of naturally happened, and you were kind of gravitated towards like recording and producing and that sort of thing. I think that's the best way to get into it, really.
Yeah, I guess it always just starts with like a deep love of music and the arts and things like that. Like, and so it just when you love something that much that you just want to be a part of it in any way, so you just do it.
Who were your influences when you were younger?
Ooh. I mean, I kind of went through stages. I initially, like, the thing that really got me into, like, the first time I heard hip hop was Snoop Dogg and Pharrell, "Beautiful." You know that song? That was like the first time I ever heard hip hop. So I always just like loved Pharrell and loved Pharrell's production, which I didn't realize until way later. That's like, oh, I don't love Nelly Furtado. I don't love Justin Timberlake. I actually just really like Pharrell. Like, he's the dude.
Oh right, yeah.
So I was really into Tribe Called Quest, so like Q-Tip when I was in high school, and then also just getting into like alternative sort of like 90s rock. Like I love Rage Against the Machine, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, just like a whole bunch of stuff. I kind of just listen to it all, and I think it all sort of finds a way, to come into the music. Yeah.
Congrats on the release of your EP. Yay, that's so exciting. Yeah, what would you say is the overall concept for Mercy 2, and what themes do you delve into in the songs?
I think it's just mainly, for me, if I had to put it in one word, it's just vulnerability. Just as much inward sort of like expression that I could put in, I put in. I kind of entered, even like with Mercy 1, I sort of started delving into those like real personal topics in my life and finding a lot of great songs there because it was so effortless for me. And with Mercy 2, when I was like kind of going into trying to create this now sort of like sequel or progression, I was thinking, what is the move here? Because I feel like a lot of people would look at like the next step, like what do I need, whereas like where should I take inspiration from, where I wanted to go inside even more. So yeah, I think vulnerability is at the forefront, like trying to just showcase sides of my emotions, sides of my personality that like I wouldn't just like if I was just talking to you, I wouldn't probably bring it up, but it comes out in the music because it's like my safe space to to express myself.
Yeah, and I guess that's the great thing about music, is that it's nice that you can be able to put it into a song, and it's not something that you would, like, as you said, like bring up in conversation. And it's like a great way to express that and express that feeling through music as well. Yeah, I'm loving all the tracks. Love Will Never Know, obviously, it's such a great track. And then I did have a question. So for the last track that starts with F, how do you pronounce it?
You pronounce it as flamethrower, and
flamethrower. Okay, great.
Yeah, it's just flamethrower. Like it's basically just flamethrower without the vowels and 3 R's at the end. Just flamethrower. But I don't know. I don't remember why. I think I typed it out when I was like saving it as a song, and I just typed in flamethrower, and the word flamethrower just looked so corny to me. I was like, oh, that looks kind of lame. And so I just started messing around with it, and I typed up flamethrower, and I thought it just looked cool. So I was like, okay, well, if it looks cool to me, then that's the only answer I need. And sometimes things just stick. You just see it, and you're like, okay, now it's like really cemented that's the way it's stylized, and I can't unsee it.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense, because I was like, I was trying to pronounce it, and then I was going to say it, and so yeah, it's entirely self-produced, which is super impressive. And I think it's cool for an artist to like be able to learn all the skills for production, because it is like quite a hard task to do that. So yeah, when did you start working on the project, and what was kind of like the writing and production process like?
I actually started, I think I wrote the first song like a week after I had just finished Mercy 1. And I almost to the point where I wanted to put it on Mercy 1. I was like, oh, should I put this one on? But we had just finished the mixes on it, so I was like, oh no, it's okay. We'll create a trilogy out of these things.
Nice.
So it started really late 2020. I think was like the first demo, and then just over the next sort of like 6 months of my life, just whenever I think I wrote a lot of songs, but those 5 that ended up making it were just the ones that I felt were an accurate representation of that 6 months of my life. And yeah, it's just the process is really, I mean, it's really so random. I just make music when I feel like it. Sometimes I make good songs, sometimes they're not so good, and when they're good, I finish them, you know, like it's really just, it's just so random, man. I can't, yeah, like it's different every time as well, you know. Some songs start off like you just know right off the bat that they're going to be awesome. You're like, oh yeah, I really like this is great, I'll finish this, and you go through with it. And then there's other songs which you start off and you're like, oh, I hate this so much, and then you just keep working on it a bit more, and you're like, oh wait, this is actually kind of cool, and you just keep it moving. And so I think it was like a half and half. Half the songs were like ones where I just made and I kind of felt them right off the bat and I just finished them off, and then the other half were just songs I probably really hated at the start, and then I was like, give them another go, and then they turned into something. Some of my favorite ones were those ones where I didn't like them to begin with.
Yeah, it's an interesting process to go through, because yeah, you might start off with something doesn't feel right, doesn't seem organic, and then you just give it another go, and different like samples or whatever you bring together.
I kind of just believe in letting the universe just sort of like take charge. I'm just the vessel, universe do your thing. I'll just be here. I'll just make it happen. But yeah, it's just, I let it just flow through me. Just whatever happens. I try not to overthink stuff.
What song would you say you're the most proud of on the EP?
Oh wow.
It's like
picking
your favorite
song. Yeah, probably each one was my favorite song at one point, but most likely the one that stuck in that period of being my favorite song for the longest was Flamethrower. Just because of how big the production is, how much stuff is going on. Like, it's one of those songs that, for me, I think of it as one of those tracks that you listen to once and, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And you listen to the second time, like, oh, that's going on. And then you listen to, oh, actually, that's going on. And even me as the producer of it, I'd sometimes be like, oh, I didn't realize that these two things work together so harmonically, you know? And
yeah.
That one for me is kind of like, now not so much because I've played it to death, but like, for the longest time was like the gift that keeps giving, where I just couldn't stop listening to it and finding cool things in it. And I think it's also kind of my favorite because that's sort of a direction that I'm moving forward into now, of like a bit bigger production, not so like, not necessarily like not hip hop, but like definitely incorporating a lot more synths, a lot more like indie elements into my music. So yeah, for me, I'm all about like the future and like moving forward, and that for me is like my next step.
Love it. So I know you work a lot with Connor Pritchard, who is basically like absolute legend and like your go-to guy for any NZ music video stuff.
Yeah,
merch.
A legend. There you go, boom, right there.
Love it.
I'm actually not. My hair's actually extremely long right now, hence why
really?
I've got it covered. But yeah, little plug. Why not?
But yeah, what were your main highlights working with him on your latest video?
You know, I actually kind of can't even remember like shooting it. It was such a quick, because all our videos are one take. That was after a really long day of shooting. We had been doing other stuff, and that was literally the last thing we shot. It was kind of just like really, I think it was the second take, and we ended up using it. So I don't actually remember much, but it was a really cool idea and rig by Connor that he set up, which was like the camera just rotating above me, so we like kind of stuck it up on this. It was pretty janky. It was like held together with duct tape and stuff. Like, I was actually kind of scared. I told him, like, are you sure that camera's not gonna fall on my face? Because it's a big camera. Like, it's not a joke. If it fell on my face, like, I would have definitely, I would have had like some camera scars on my nose and stuff. But no, it was fine. And we did 2 takes of it, and I think, it was just sort of one of those, just like the music, you know, we just didn't overthink it. We kind of always go, and the cool thing about Connor is that he trusts me, I trust him, and like we kind of just have this. We talk early on, you know, with the creative direction about like what the overall feeling that we want to go for is, and what, you know, sort of like colors we want to use for like every era of Who Shot Scott. So yeah, basically we just, with everything, I guess, as long as we're meeting the criteria of the, you know, the parameters we set for ourselves, as in like the colors and the branding and all that stuff, then it's always going to turn out pretty sweet. And I'm always super stoked with the work that he does. He's like my right hand man.
What was one of your favorite moments working on the EP?
Well, you know, funnily enough, not even making the songs, but more just the mixing process was really cool. So it was mixed by Josh Strand, who's in 0800, and it was just such a great like experience to give someone. Same with like how with like Connor, like give someone trust with your, you know, like your heart, basically. Like, yo, here's my vulnerable heart. Like, take it and like, you know, treat it well. But it was such a good like. It was so nice just to hear the song sort of come into fruition and sort of like be executed in that final stage, because a lot of the times when I make them, when I make the songs, they sound, idea wise, they sound like how they sound in the end, but sonically, like quality wise, sometimes it's just really crazy, because I can mix a little bit, but I try to just get the ideas down as quick as possible. So it was really a cool part of the process, just to see in that 2 weeks that we mixed the project, just to see how all these songs slowly started like coming together, and not only coming together as songs, but coming together as a whole cohesive project. Because having like, you know, one person, like I produce all the stuff myself, so it has that side of it that's cohesive, but then having one person also mix the whole project and master the whole project, that also gives it its own cohesive sound. So yeah, that was probably my favorite part, just like leading up to that last little lap of finishing the EP on the more technical side.
No, yeah, it definitely goes through a whole like transformational process throughout, like with the mixing and mastering, and like it must be so nice to hear it all finished and finalized, and then be able to just like give that to the world. So you mentioned it's a trilogy, so there's going to be Mercy 3 coming out at the end of this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope sooner than the end, but you know, these things always, you want them quick, and then you end up finding yourself like a year later, like, oh my god, like even Mercy 2 coming out in February, like we tried to get it out last year, but just with the way things went, it just made more sense to release it in February. But yeah, it is part of a trilogy, and I'm very excited for Mercy 3. It's just a continuation. It is the last chapter as well of the Mercy thing. It is like, I did always want to do a trilogy where you know, I feel like the 15, each one is 5 tracks. I feel like 15 tracks is a good amount to introduce myself to the world as an artist, and that's the whole point. I just wanted to, you know, EPs are a nice little taste test of what this artist is about, and I thought that'd be a cool idea, just to do a little 15 track thing over a few years, and yeah, just have it paint the picture of what Who Shot Scott is all about, really.
Yeah, I think it's just the pace of new music at the moment. It's so hard to keep up. Even as me, as a music fan, like I find it so hard to keep up with all the artists that I love and all their music, things coming out, and also keeping up with new artists. There's a lot. So I think kind of giving those bite-sized pieces makes it a bit easier, and then you can kind of give it to the world faster rather than waiting to do your whole album and then release everything at once. It's like nice to have it broken up.
I feel like even I, like as a music consumer, get pretty intimidated when I see something that's more than like 12 tracks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh man, I really got to listen to all this. Whereas I feel like 5 is a good amount. It's like, it doesn't put off people. Like, ooh, he wants me to listen to all this music. It's like, oh, just 5 tracks. Just skim through them, see if you like any, and then come back to them. Yeah. So I also think about that. Me as a lover and listener to music, I love things that are just nice and short and concise anyway. So it matched with me personally as well.
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned in your career so far? And also, what advice do you have for other Kiwi artists out there?
Okay, that is a big question. There's a lot of lessons, obviously. But the biggest one that kind of just comes to mind straight away is the fact that you have to just go with the flow of the universe, as corny as that sounds, you know, creatively at least. Like, don't force creativity whatsoever. Write stuff when you want to, and yeah, like I think I posted something a little while ago about there's no such thing. Like I don't believe in writer's block. I just believe in inspiration and non-inspiration. And I feel like everyone, even your favorite artists, even my favorite artists, have those moments of inspiration and non-inspiration. But the difference is like the way to find, like to consistency and all of that is to like ride it like a wave, sort of. So like if you're not inspired, just leave it. Like don't force anything when you're not inspired, because all that's gonna do is just like lower your confidence as an artist, you know. But if you go in when you really want to make music, when you're like, oh my god, I need to write this song, like it's in me, I need to do it, that's when the best music comes out. For me personally, it's quite subjective, but for me that's like the biggest lesson. And also probably my best piece of advice that I give to artists is just like, take your time. Everything is a natural part of the creative process. Nothing is like, we're all in it together. And even like with COVID and stuff like that, like you're not alone. Like it's really easy to feel isolated emotionally and feel like, oh man, this is only happening to me, but it's happening to everybody, and it's all good. Like you just take your time, take your sweet time with your music. Don't rush anything. Don't feel like you have to do anything. Just flow with it, you know?
Yeah, I think that's some great advice, especially during COVID. I think that a lot of artists felt pressure to write music because they thought, oh, I've got all this time now, I can try and write something. But you know, if you're not finding that inspiration, there's a lot of pressure you put on yourself to like, I have to do something now. But as you said, you've just got to be patient, and when the idea comes. Yeah, the EP is sounding so amazing. I think there's no one really in New Zealand or that I've heard of in the world that has like the same sort of style as you. And the visual side of it's obviously amazing as well. So yeah.
Shout out to Connor. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the kind words. We've already kind of, this whole interview kind of just plugged the fact that the EP is out, so I don't think I need to plug that. But yeah,
EP is out, guys. If you didn't.
EP is out if you want to listen to it. Mercy too, and see you around.